Over the last few months, we've sent over 5 million cold emails for our clients and our own agency. During this period, we've added over 25 million in pipeline, booked over 1,000 calls, consistently book 150 to 200 calls every single month. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how we do cold email for the B2B companies that we work with. This is a full-length cold email course for completely free, and it's the exact system we use to add 5.6 million in pipeline for one of our clients in 90 days, 450k in pipeline in 6 weeks for another, and it's booking easily 150 calls plus every single month for our own agency alone without even taking our clients into consideration. Before we get started, I have to be honest with you. If you don't have the focus or the time to actually go through this video at length, study it, and actually implement what I'm about to tell you, then this is probably not the best video for you. But if you're genuinely interested in building yourself a proven cold email system, and you're going to immediately implement what I talk about in this video, then keep watching. I'm going to be going through everything, including setting up your infrastructure, finding your targeting and leads, messaging, and how to book a bunch of calls, and ultimately how you can grow your business with cold email. So let's get into it. Okay, so why cold email works and why most people fail. So it's the only channel that is the most scalable where you can reach millions and millions of people every single month in a cost-effective way, proactively based on your targeting. Okay, so this channel, cold email, allows you to reach 100% of your market on your own terms and say the message that you want to say to them. Now, if you're running ads, then you're relying on the algorithm and who that pushes it to. And you're also subject to rising CPMs and everything else. Now, not everyone is going to reply to a cold email. Say that up front. However, you can go out to so many people that it's statistically negligible for you not to book calls with your ICP as a result if you are good at the skill. Now, let's just compare these to the other channels that you can use. So paid ads, they're expensive, they're slow to optimize, and they're brand dependent. So you have to spend a decent amount of money in order to start getting results. Now, with cold email, it's way more cost effective. You can get data way quicker to see, okay, what message is actually responding, what messages actually resonate with people in my market. So therefore that can guide your overall marketing strategy. So one of the things that we do internally is that we will use cold email to validate different messaging points in different markets. Therefore we can create ads around that because we already know that that's what people are responding to. Now, if you're someone who's reliant on referrals, it's passive, inconsistent, and there's a ceiling. While those clients are so much easier to close than anyone else because they already come in, they've already got word from someone else that you're a good company, and therefore it's basically a lay down where they're already giving you the money before you've even kind of pitched them. It's inconsistent. You can't forecast your cash flow based on referrals because it's completely outside of your control. Yes, you can do some form of partnership agreement, but that is not stable in terms of the way that you're going to run your business. Now, if we look at cold email, it's predictable, it's scalable, it's fully controllable in terms of you can literally see what do I have to put in and what does that give out. Okay, so if I say that I put 100,000 emails in and that books me 100 calls, then I know that if I do 200,000 emails, maybe it's not 200 calls and it's 180 calls and it loses effectiveness at scale, but I still know that there's inputs in and outputs out. And that is something that you can scale up or down based on that. So we've went from sending 10,000 emails a day to 20,000 emails a day to 50,000 emails a day to 100,000 emails a day. So I can have a full calendar at all times for our sales team. So we're consistently growing and we know exactly where we're going to be in the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months time. So you decide who, you decide when, and you decide how many calls you're going to book based on the inputs that are available. Now, why most people fail is because your TAM is too small. So you're only reaching out to 1,000 or 2,000 people, which therefore results in, as we say, if we do the internal benchmarks, 1.5% reply rate, 5% positive reply rate, you're just not going to get as many calls booked as a result. So your offer's weak, which is probably the biggest thing when I speak to people. They'll say, well, I ran this and I said, hey, does anyone want to come and work with my virtual staffing company? We do VAs for people and we're the most trained VAs in the world. Every man and their dog's doing that, and AI is already taking over and reducing the manual work of all of these admin tasks anyway. So it's a weak offer. There's no guarantee. There's no discount. There's no reason why anyone would ever look at that and say, okay, I need this. And then infrastructure's done wrong. And all of these things are fixable, especially on the infrastructure side. People don't realize how much effort it takes in order for us to kind of manage this for people and what goes into the back end of this. And to be honest with you, if I was running a business and it wasn't this, I don't think I could be bothered to deal with it either. So I would just outsource it to someone else. Now, the leads that show results, we've added over 25 million pipeline for our clients. We've booked over 1,000 calls and we have a 91% show up rate. Now, overall here, the one thing I would say is that we consistently book 150 to 200 calls every single month. Over 100 of those are for our agency alone. So we stand by cold email as a channel. We also do LinkedIn and cold calling, but this is specifically focused on cold email. So let's dive straight into things. So you're going to start by defining your ICP. Okay, so B2B SaaS is not an ICP, it is a category. You need to know specifically who you want to talk to, who the decision maker is, what their pain point is, and how they operate. Now, if you can't do that, then how are you going to craft a message that's going to resonate with someone enough for them to get on a call with you and respond to an email? People get tens of emails every single day. How are you going to stand out in the inbox if you're just sending a generic email to 1,000 or 10,000 or even 100,000 people, right? It's just not effective. So can you name 50 companies that fit right now off the top of your head that you've been targeting or would like to target? Now, if you can, go and find lookalikes for all of those companies, and then that expands your TAM already, because you know if this one's a good fit, any company that looks like it to an extent, you can then qualify that to say, okay, this is a good fit as well. So the best way to do this is build from your existing clients. So who's paying you already? Who's the easiest to work with, and where did you get the best results? Now, if you have this in your CRM, that is the golden starting point, because as I said, lookalikes are the biggest lever you can pull now, especially with AI. You could just find all the companies that are very similar to the ones you've already got results for, and then you can kind of just get a similar company to them, do the exact same thing. It's a productized service. You do the exact same thing again, you get the same results. Now, that's going down into a niche, but you probably have different companies and different personas in different industries. And that's how you can start to expand your TAM. Now, the ICP filter sentences, we work with company type, who problem, who outcome. Now, for us, we don't focus on a specific industry. We focus on solving a core problem. But we also have an ICP definition within there. So you have to have 30,000 to 50,000 decision makers or more. And you have to have an annual contract value of $10,000 or more. Now that already narrows things down. That's a very broad ICP. We have different segments within different industries that I know that we work well with. However, that overall level that I know in terms of the disqualification filters allows me to do things at such a scale where I can send millions of emails a month and be effective in terms of my outreach as well. So segment that by authority level, company size, geography, and vertical, not just job title, because different people have different pain points. They have different goals. They have different worldviews. And that might be geographical. That might be for the vertical. That might be based on the company size. Someone who's the founder of a 2-person startup and it's just them and their co-founder who are bootstrapped versus someone who's running a 50-person startup who's raised VC funding and been through Series C and just raised 100 million. They're very different people. And that's why you need to kind of go into all of these factors. And with AI in your hands, you can do this really easily and kind of get down to a level where you can craft a one-by-one message using Clay, for example, that resonates with that audience. Now, just a side note, I'm someone who's not the biggest fan of Clay. I think that you can craft a message without using that, but we'll come on to that a little bit later. Now, you're going to start by mapping your full TAM. Okay, so that's your full market. Now, that's every company and decision maker that would fit your ICP. Not a short list. This is exhaustive. Anyone that you would ever want to speak to, and then you're going to go through these, and most B2B companies have 2,000 to 100,000 potential customers and have contacted maybe 5%. Now, I'm going to give you a pro tip here that not a lot of people do. Start with companies, okay? A company fit versus a person fit are two completely different things. If you map all of the companies first, then all you need to do is enrich the people every time you want to refresh that list. Versus if you find the people and that person leaves, then you've got a problem on your hands. Now, another pro tip, in Apollo, you could export 10,000 accounts for free per search. So therefore, you can build your full TAM of companies for free using Apollo and then go into Clay for enrichment and ICP scoring and everything else in terms of validating it. But that would be the biggest tip I'd give to people. Start with the companies and then say, okay, who do I want to speak to at these companies? Let's say CEO, let's say COO, let's say CTO. These are the sorts of roles that you then start to enrich as a result. But if you have that company list, that can be a one-time job. You just need to top it up with companies. And there's different ways to do this, but Apollo gives you companies for free. Clay gives you companies for free and people for free without emails, which therefore gets expensive. And Sales Navigator is also good, but not good at scale. Now, Sales Navigator is actually the source of all data for every single one of these tools you can talk about. Again, I would start with Apollo companies if you're trying to do this in a cost-effective way. If you're looking to do this yourself and you want some help, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help you with it. But zero bounce to validate. I'd also use million verifier. In terms of catch-alls, there are a number of different tools there, or you can just focus on valid emails. But you need to make sure that you're validating these emails so you're not getting high bounce rates and killing your infrastructure from day one. So once one client had 12,000 accounts in their TAM, had contacted 400s, we mapped all 12,000 and hit them in 45 days. Okay. And that's one of the small scale examples of what we go after. That was one vertical for them out of 5 that they had to go after. So it was actually 60,000 or 50,000 to 6,000 overall, which topped that up. But if you're contacting 400 people, then how do you ever expect to get results? Because those 400 people might not have a problem right now. It's the rest of the 11,600 people that you should be speaking to. So segment everything: seniority, company size, geography, vertical, and personalization happens at segment level. So if you're doing this in Clay, that makes it really easy to do. If you're not already using Clay, they have just increased their price. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to be the best tool moving forward, but for now it is very good. But again, if you've taken anything from this slide, take Apollo companies, qualify them all based on the filters that you're going to use for your ICP, and then put them into a spreadsheet. And that is your starting point, where it gives you 90% of what you need. Then you can start to enrich the people from there. Now, build your infrastructure. So again, never send from your primary domain. I speak to people all the time who are sending cold emails from here, from HubSpot, from whatever their CRM is. If you start getting reported for spam at doing this at scale, your emails will consistently go to spam, and that will be a big issue for you when you're trying to send an invoice to someone or a proposal and they're not getting it because it's going into the spam. It's not a good look for your company overall. It doesn't look very professional. Okay, so you need a separate infrastructure. Now, in order to do that, you're going to need to buy domains. Now, there's a couple of different places you can do that. Diner.porkbun.com. There are another couple of ones. If you want a pro tip, use .info TLDs from Porkbun. They're like $3 each. You could buy 100 of them for $30 or $300 even, depending on how many you need. Now, you need to warm up the inboxes on those domains for 2 to 3 weeks. So you should be able to use a provider that sets up all the SPF, DKIM, DMARC, MX, and everything else. Custom tracking domain is optional. We tend not to use it because it can harm deliverability. But I would use someone like Scaled Mail. If you type in cheap inboxes online, you will find 100 different providers. Scaled Mail is probably the best, highest quality support and everything else. We do everything in-house, where we build it ourselves and get it directly from the source. So it's a little bit different, but if you're looking to do this yourself, Instantly also have a way to set up the infrastructure done for you with them. So I'd recommend using that if you're just getting started. Now, in terms of your warm-up, don't listen to what everyone says. It needs to be a 2-to-1 warm-up. So 20 warm-up sends for every 10 cold emails you're sending. Now, if you're using Google infrastructure, you can send, I normally max out about 20 a day. So therefore that'd be 40 warm-ups. A lot of people will go higher than that. I think for longevity, it depends. If you want to kind of go through the cycling of rebuilding infrastructure, you can do that. Sometimes even max out at 15, which would mean 30 warm-up emails. If you are using Microsoft infrastructure, then use 5 per inbox per day at a max, and therefore 10 warm-up per day per inbox. And then, as it says here, max 30 to 50 cold sends per domain per day to stay under the spam filters. So again, it depends on what infrastructure you're using, but that seems to be about the kind of threshold. And again, this is all a longevity piece. It depends on the results, the offer, and everything else. If all of your emails get replies because you've got an amazing offer, then this is less of an issue. But this is a general rule that you need those warm-ups to save you in case you start getting reported spam across these inboxes. Then you're going to have a bigger issue where all of your emails start going to spam and no one's actually seeing your message in the first place. Now, we check 27 things before a campaign goes live. One of these misconfigured DNS records can kill a campaign. But again, if you use some of these providers that I've spoken about, then they'll handle everything for you. ScaleMail are very helpful. I can't recommend them enough, despite us not using them anymore. Now, write emails that get replies. So in order to do this, there's a big thing in cold email where everyone says, how do I write the perfect email? Now, there are some general rules here. In terms of the copywriting, it needs to be short and conversion led. So if you're trying to optimize for replies when you're trying to book meetings, you might find yourself in a bit of a sticky situation where you are getting replies and not booking any calls. Optimize for the outcome that you are looking for is the biggest thing that I'd always say to people. So keep it under 80 words. Every time, no exceptions. If you want to go up to 100, you can do that too. If it's a very founder-led email where it's storytelling, but this is a general rule for most people. Line 1 is their problem. Line 2s and 3 is like proof and why it matters. And then there's a CTA. It's really that simple. So line 1 could be, and this is one of my favorite templates that isn't actually on here, right? First name, we helped company, so a company, get this result. So add 10 clients, add 500K in revenue, add book 50 calls, whatever. in time frame, 45 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever. Would you be interested in doing the same? Signature, and then PS lines, which a lot of people don't actually use, which work extremely well. You could have a guarantee or a risk reversal in there. PS, we guarantee you 10 calls in the first 30 days, if not your money back. That is a solid email that would get a serious amount of responses. You can change that and tweak that based on your offer. But that would really work well, just as an really easy to use, because it's all based on the offer. Now, the social proof is probably one of the second biggest elements, because that's how you can prove authority with a cold audience, especially if you can speak to one of their competitors, where you can say, we helped your competitor get this result. Would it be worth a quick call? They are going to answer that email because their competitors are going to get ahead of them if they do not. There's another framework around poke the bear. So this is name the specific thing that they know they should be doing but haven't. So for example, if you know that you're speaking to a CRO and they know that their SDRs aren't ramping up as they should be, and they're really slacking and haven't closed any deals or booked many calls this quarter, and you mention that in an email, that's something that's going to really hit them and be relevant to them. And that's where they're going to respond, because you've poked the bear with a question that preys on something that they're already feeling internally. Another one is a data stat that we recently found, which is our research shows, or Google research shows. This is something that actually builds massive credibility to say, we've researched this and it shows this. It almost builds the authority for you before you have anything to sell, and then it gets a response as a result. So one of our top performing campaigns was a 5.64 reply rate of 53,000 sends. We actually booked around 50 calls from that. I think actually a little bit more, if I remember off the top of my head. And then in terms of subject lines, if I'm being honest with you, don't put too much into it. I would always put their first name in there because it feels like it was for them. And quick question is probably one of our most used subject lines because it's just so easy and gets enough responses. You would normally make it relevant to what the email you're sending. So if it's about pipeline question, it can be really anything relevant to what you're talking about. But again, just include their name in there or their company name, so it shows that you've actually done some form of research. It's not going out to every man and his dog. Okay, and then we're talking about step 6, which is sequences and send volume. Now, I speak to people all the time and they say, yeah, I'm not getting results. Can you help us? And I say, okay, how many emails are you sending? And they'll normally say 500 a day or less. That's probably a push. And I'll say, I'm sending 6 or 7 emails. Now, the biggest thing here is people get confused between what they're told about account-based marketing and cold outbound. Account-based marketing is where you have a dream 100 accounts, and there's only 100 of them. So you go out to them with an email on day one, then a LinkedIn message, then a cold call, then an email, and you're multi-threading that account to try and get as many touch points as possible. Now that does work for account-based marketing where you have a small TAM. Now that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to reach as many people as possible, capture the 3% of the people who are looking to make a change or are ready to buy right now. So we're going to send 2 emails. And here's a quick framework to think about of this. Email 1 is to get an SQL, and I'm defining an SQL here as someone who wants to book a meeting. Okay, so optimize for book a meeting, worth a quick chat. Are you free on Tuesday? Something like that. Email 2 is optimizing for an MQL. So while it might not be the right time now for them to jump on a call, they may still be interested. And an easy to use template for you on this is, if a call is not right now, shall I send you a 1-pager? Simple as that. Now that then gets a response, they get a positive response. Yes, send it over. That person then goes into the pipeline. Their SDRs can follow up on it and they get more leads as a result. If you're even booking meetings for people or just internally, you're going to fill your pipeline with more leads because it might not be the right time now, but at least you know that this person has high intent because they're interested, just not right now. So statistically, 58% of our replies come from email 1, from over 1 million sends, 22% of them from email 2, and emails 3 to 10 almost generate nothing. Now, the biggest thing about this also is when you're sending 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 emails, when someone reads it, they just see a chain of that they haven't replied to. And when I read that, I think, oh my God, I haven't replied to you. Why are you still emailing me? So I would not only remember that person's name, I not only then think, oh, maybe I should report this person as spam if they're not going to leave me alone, because when are they going to stop replying? That is exactly what we're trying to avoid. Okay, so we're going to send 2 emails because we're only testing interest. SQL, MQL, leave them alone. Come back in 45 days, SQL, MQL, leave them alone. Now, when the budgets change or something else, they are going to reply to that and they are going to say they're interested, okay? So email 2 is a completely different angle, different problem, different hook, different reason to reply. I like the 1-pager soft ask. Some people will follow up with another case study. It depends. If you don't have those assets available, I would personally create one using AI, using Claude. But then just wait 3 to 4 days between email 1 and 2. What you're really trying to do is, if someone is out of office or busy, you might get them on the second email. It might be that they weren't ready for a call the first time. You'd be surprised how many people would then go in as an MQL for the one pager, and then we ring them and book them as a call for our clients as well. So you can scale by adding more domains, but not making sequences longer. So scale your email volume up on a daily basis rather than scaling the number of emails you send to people. You want to go after more decision makers rather than more touch points. As I said, 30 to 50 sends per domain per day, spread volume across the domains. Let's say you're going to reach out to, therefore you need 100,000 emails a month. You could just back solve the stats based on that to see, okay, how many inboxes do I need in order to send that level of volume to contact my entire market? It's really that simple. Then reply management. Now, under 23-minute response time, this is not optional. I would even go 2.3-minute response time. Forget 23 minutes. I'm saying you need to respond in under 2 minutes, at max 5. If you're not responding, then you're going to get lost in the inbox, and people who respond quicker get better results. Now, 23 minutes is the minimum that you should be doing. That's the absolute max any person should wait if you want them to be high intent. Okay? If you can respond exactly when they reply, you can use AI to do this, you can build your own tool, there are tools out there, then you're going to get a higher booking rate because someone is showing intent when they're replying to your email. Therefore, get them while that intent is high. Now, if you do have SDRs, call that person when they reply. Do not email back. Right? Pick up the phone when they reply. Even if you're a founder, pick up the phone. You'd be surprised how many people who are in lead generation or running their own sales or just doing anything, and they are scared to pick up the phone. Whether or not that person has replied, is ghosting you, whatever, if you pick up the phone, you're more likely to get a response because you're not lost in the inbox and people can easily ignore you. It's harder to ignore a phone call. And also you can have a conversation with that person and say, hey, you replied to my email. Have you got 2 minutes? Or, hey, you replied to an email. Would you be interested in jumping on a call with the team to discuss this further? Like, you've just showed an interest. You've just showed that you want to have a call. So therefore, should we jump on? If no answer, text them, follow up email, hit them until they respond. We honestly follow up with people until they tell us no or tell us to fuck off, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not going to stop. If you're not interested, then tell me. I do not care. I work in sales. If you're not interested, you will tell me no. It's really that simple. Now, human review every reply before anything becomes a calendar invite. So if you book a call with someone who's an admin and it's a waste of time, then check that before you book the call, because otherwise you're just going to waste your time on calls with people who are unqualified. Okay. Now, our 91% sure is a direct result of this process. Plus, we have an absolute banger of a pre-call flow because these people are cold prospects when you reach out. You need to build trust like an inbound lead, like a referral, before they jump on that call. You maybe have 24 to 48 hours to do that. We send 15 emails to someone before they jump on a call. Now, a lot of you are going to hear that and go, oh my God, are you really bombarding people that much? Yes, I am. Because what I am trying to do is speed up the process of that person going from a cold person who's just received an email from someone in my team to getting on a call with me as the founder and seeing all the social proof that we've got and seeing all of the things that we've been able to do and seeing all of our process and how we do things. And a lot of people will join that call and go, oh, I've seen your case of this person, or I like the way you spoke about sending 2 emails and not annoying people. We've been doing the opposite. That's how you build trust with people very, very quickly. And guess what? Some people love it, some people hate it. If people disqualify themselves before the call, great, I don't have to waste my time. And then next is the qualification. So not every reply is a qualified meeting. Okay, so you will get replies from people who are time wasters, who are not qualified, who have been missed in your targeting. It depends on your level of qualification, who you want to speak to. They're not always going to have the budget, but if they show intent, then take the call. And if it's just a bad title, ideally, this is how you would work this. You have your ICP defined as per the earlier steps. You're going to look at the reply and say, okay, does this person meet the ICP? For our clients, we have an ICP defined in their onboarding form. There's no back and forth. They define it. We jump on a call and go over just to make sure that we understand everything. Now, at that point in time, we will then say, when a reply comes in, you said you want to speak to the CTO. I'm getting a reply from the admin of the CTO, the PA of the CTO. Now, is that person booking a call with the CTO, or are they just booking a call because they want to have a chat? You would be surprised how many people want to jump on a call just to have a conversation. There's a lot of lonely people out there, okay? So 3 questions. Do they fit the ICP? Do they have the decision-making authority? And do they have a problem they want to solve now? Now, the real problem they want to solve now, I am not too worried about that a lot of the time, because guess what? Sometimes it's worth having a call for a deal later down the line. Fill that pipeline, keep them going. MQLs are worth having a call with too, because guess what? That first call where I said I need to build trust before it, if I can have that first call now and then they have another call in 3 months' time, but they've had a conversation with me and they're now trusting me, then that deal's easier to close rather than having the first call in 3 months' time. And I'm trying to build the trust from day one. I've already hit them with the first call. I've hit them with 5 follow-ups between them and the next call because I'm going to follow up with people monthly anyway. So that's the way that we do things. Now, unqualified calls waste time and hide your close data. But guess what? I'm not even worried about a close. We measure our close rate based on offers made. So if someone's not qualified, I don't count it in the stat anyway. But that's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about time. When you get to the point where you've got this system dialed in and your calendar's too full for the next week that you can't even book any more meetings, that's when you're going to start getting annoyed when someone no-shows you, when someone shows up unqualified, because you know that slot could be taken by someone else who was qualified, who did need the product and who did want to buy from you. And then the 45-day cycle. So this is what everything is built around here that I've said before. So you hit the full market, you wait 45 days, which is how long it takes to hit the full market, then you come back. So there is no stopping here. Okay, so you hit everyone. Then you hit everyone again, then you hit everyone again. In reality, if you weren't iterating based on the data that you're getting, you could set up a campaign once and let it run for 45 days once you've got it ready. And then you just come back with, okay, what is the data told us? Again, you can do this with Claude, OpenAI, Claude, whatever you want to do. And you come back with the new angles that are working based on the data that you've just collected, which can therefore drive your go-to-market strategy because you've now just learned, okay, well, when I'm speaking to a CTO, this is the pain point that works. When I'm speaking to the CEO in this industry, this is the pain point that works. Okay, maybe I should create some content around that are in the different levels of awareness in terms of breakthrough advertising, stage 1 to 5. Let's start thinking about your content in terms of this that's going to nurture these people because now they're connected on LinkedIn because we had a call. Connect with these people on LinkedIn, just as a pro tip as well. Now, 30 days, it's a bit too short to kind of, people are going to recognize your name as every 30 days potentially. 60 days, I think that's too long for me, but 45 days feels like the perfect balance. Now you could do 30 days, don't get me wrong, but I think you are going to burn things quicker if you want to deliver consistently quarter over quarter like we do. If we're working with someone for a year, I don't want to burn that list 12 times in a year. I want to do it 4 times, 8 times even. So nobody in your market goes more than 45 days without hearing from you. It's just consistent, not enough where they're going to remember you and have a bad taste in their mouth, but enough where they're going to be like, okay, maybe now is the right time. Okay, I've got the CEO breathing down my neck after our meeting yesterday. Now I want to jump on this call about this guy who's offering me this. So every cycle, document what angles worked, what didn't, what industries replied, and you get sharper. The ICP that you defined at the start versus what you're now working with may be different. That is something that you will learn and be the data that drives your business further. And the system compounds the longer you run it, the better your data, the more data you have to say, okay, what's working and what I should do more of based on real results rather than just guessing based on, let's say, a LinkedIn post that doesn't even hit your whole following or your whole market. Okay, now step 10, tracking and optimization. So what should you track? What are the benchmarks? This is what people always want to ask. And this is general because it really does depend on your offer, the industry, how good your infrastructure is. But your reply rate, forget everything else, should be 1.5%. If it's below 1%, you have an infrastructure issue or a targeting issue. A positive reply rate as a result of those. Now it says here 1.5 to 3%. It's of those replies should be 5%. And then your bounce rate should be below 2%. So just to kind of make that clear, 1.5% reply rate, of those replies, 5% positive, less than 2% bounce rate. Now, if your reply rate is less than 0.4%, your campaign's broken. Diagnose, fix the infrastructure, then the list, then the copy. It's more likely going to be infrastructure. It could be the list that no one's interested, but again, I would still expect to get out of offices. And then the copy, it could be fingerprinted, but again, that's probably your last one. Maybe change the subject line. Now, when a campaign underperforms, don't change everything at once. Isolate variables. You're almost doing this as an ads guy, right? So if I change the start line, the CTA, the case study, the subject line, how do I know what's actually changed? That's not A/B testing. You're just changing things and guessing, right? So you need to isolate the variables and say, okay, let's do this line versus this line. And eventually, when you find winners, that's where you can start to really tinker with a couple of lines, a couple of words, and you'll see massive differences in results, right? So document every cycle, angles, industries, copy, build a swipe file of what works for your market. And in reality, with most of the tools you're going to use to do this, you can just feed this into Claude or Manus, give it the API, and it will go to town and give you a full report on this. Now, the first cycle is your baseline. Every cycle after that is an improvement that you're looking to optimize that number of emails sent per booked call. So there you have it. All you have to do now is copy and paste what I spoke about and you'll be getting insane results with cold email in no time. This is the exact cold email system we used at Leads That Show for countless B2B companies that's helped us generate millions in revenue. If you're a B2B company and you want us to build out this entire system for you, then click the link in the description to book a call and see if you're a good fit. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more valuable videos and I'll see you in the next one.